Anything that needed to be said was dealt with here in his car, always during the day, and compensated for with overtime on other occasions. No one ought to suspect anything, so they really had nothing to fear. They could simply let themselves be possessed by each other's lust, the lingering warmth in their bodies, and the desire for the next meeting. "It is how it is," she repeated. "Is that how it's going to be?" He smiled. "What would you prefer? Is this enough for you? Or would you dare to throw yourself into something new?" She didn't know what to say. Would he dare to take that step and leave behind the old? Her answer was dependent on his. She didn't want to give him the satisfaction of knowing exactly where he had her if he didn't give her anything to hang on to. Their love was passionate right now. She was in a state of sickness. She couldn't sleep at night or concentrate in the day. But would it last if she was honest with her husband, asked for a divorce, and turned their shared home into a war zone? Would this new irrepressible love cope with that? And for how long? Perhaps it was the validation she needed, the reassurance that she was still worth loving, still worth making love to. Now she had that, and perhaps it was enough. This man had given her so much energy and joie de vivre that it had shaken new life into her deeply soporific existence. But that wasn't necessarily the same thing as her giving up her home and her finances, turning her back on the man that she had sworn to love. She was conscious that it was novelty's charm that appealed. It wasn't impossible to leave it behind, go home and be a good wife instead. She tried to persuade herself, but she could already sense the scent of her lover's naked body, the warmth of his breath, and the passionate sounds that would soon fill the car. Even so, she was still of two minds. She felt rather pathetic sitting there like a schoolgirl and dreaming of a future that almost certainly didn't exist. Pathetic, and somehow dirty. She was lying and deceiving for just a few transient moments of devotion each week. Her lover was the direct opposite. He took life in his stride, a smile always on his lips. If she were to end the relationship, he would find a new cause for rejoicing and continue smiling. They were getting close to the location of their rendezvous, and heartbeats in the car quickened. He put his hand on her thigh, and she could barely contain herself. She wanted to pull off her clothes and throw herself onto him, press her lips to his, and let herself be embraced, a wave of heat flooding over her. The sky was getting dark, and it began to snow gently. The weather forecast said it wouldn't freeze until night, but the road already looked slippery. They approached the old limestone quarry by Modvar. For a moment the tyres lost their grip, and the car skidded precariously. Chapter 2. Sandra. Her arms filled with odds and ends, she stood in the car park outside the XL Big DIY store, cursing her stupidity. Today she had finally made it to the store to find some bargain Christmas decorations and outdoor lighting on sale. Of course, she hadn't considered for a moment that she would, as usual, buy too much, all while her car was at the repair shop and her father couldn't help her. She hadn't meant to buy more than she could take on the bus, but here she was, loaded up like a pack horse. The ground was wet and dirty, making her reluctant to put down her boxes and paper bags. She didn't have any gloves. It had been far warmer when she had left home in the morning. She had called for a taxi twice, and on both occasions she had been promised a car within a few minutes. 40 minutes had elapsed, so she now put down her purchases to call again. "This is ridiculous," she said, making an effort to sound angry when she was really just irritated. "I live in the country and can't very well walk all the way to Weidhem." "How strange," said the voice on the other end of the line. "There must have been a misunderstanding somewhere down the line. I'll prioritise your booking and send a car immediately." Yes, that was certainly the case, and at that point, Sandra should have probably made an acerbic comment. But she wasn't especially ready for battle. More timid than anything, so instead she politely offered her thanks and ended the call. She sighed heavily, glancing resignedly at the mountain of shopping, and tapped at her...